Today's video is going to be about wheel fitment. I get a lot of messages and I see a lot of stuff on the Genesis Coupe Facebook pages. People are wanting to get aftermarket wheels and tires, and they ask, with a wheel and size picked out already, if this will work and not, hit the calipers or hit the, the fenders or whatever, the shock absorber or the strut in the front, because the strut is, it's got to hold the spring up, and if it's the stock suspension, then the bottom part of it is really it's really big in diameter. So a lot of the times, depending on how wide and how high of an offset, it'll rub the wheel or the tire on the strut. But the rears don't have any problems because it's a shock absorber. They're separate. The coil's not attached to the shock absorber. But anyways, so what ends up happening is myself, and a few of the other people that know about the traction control system and how it works off of the wheel speed sensors. We will let them know that your traction control is probably going to give you issues if you go ahead and you buy the squared setup. So they go ahead and buy it, and then they put it on and they wonder why they have issues with their traction control. So then they'll come back on there, and then they'll make another post, and then I'll go on there and I'll say, well, I did let you know about this. This would happen, and now this is what's going on. So then they're like, well, I just wanted to be able to rotate my tires so that I can get more life out of them. And it's like, well, the car comes with the staggered fitment, and that's just the nature of the beast. The car comes like that for a reason, and if you match the overall rolling diameter of the tire, the wheel speed sensors are going to be rotating at the same RPM, and that's what triggers it. But here's a website that I use when I'm looking up what will fit, what won't fit, if it will potentially give it any issues or not. But since we come with a staggered setup, we have to put in the front first with what we have, and then the front on what we are looking at getting or what we would like to get, and then you have to put it in for the other, for the other wheel and tire. But anyway, so this one over here says your existing setup, and then this one over here is your new setup, or the setup that you would like to get. So we'll go with the setup for the base model, which means that you've got the 18. So it's and we'll do the front first. So 225 is the width, and then it's a 45 sidewall, and then it's a 18, and then the front is a 7. Wait, is it a 7? Let me see. Let's see, Genesis Coupe. OEM wheel tire. Oh, here we go. Just what I was looking for. Alright, so the front is 18 by 7.5 plus 33 offset. So 7.5 33. So 33, and then we'll go with, we'll keep it simple, and we'll just keep it at the new setup going to be 18s. So we'll go to 55. We'll go with what I have on my 19s. Step down to the 40, 18, and then we'll go 9.5. And the this will be the guaranteed flush fitment width and offset, which is plus 22. So then you hit calculate, and then you scroll down. So this willtheyfit.com, what it does is it calculates over here what you got right now as far as diameter, circumference, how far the wheel pokes, the inset, and then reading at 30 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, and then your ride height, and then the gap in your fender. And then so like I said, here's the new one over here. So it looks like it gets a little taller because the diameter is more. Circumference just barely. Yeah, and then the speedometer is going to say at 30 miles an hour that you'll be a little slower than 30, but then you gain not even 1 millimeter in height. So that's a pretty good size of keeping your speedometer going the same speed. And then also over here on the little diagram, it kind of shows what the wheel and the offset will look like compared to the old one. And you can see the orange is the stock, and then the green is the new one that you are wanting to get. So you see it goes a little closer, but not too much, and you'll be okay with not hitting the strut. And then it pokes out a little bit more. But yeah, this is what I use when I'm researching what will fit and what won't fit. There really isn't anything else down here. It's just wheel brands that this site sells. So you look at that, and then we'll go with the rear one. So we'll go, it's 245, and then it's 8, I think, 8 wide. Yep, and then the same offset, which is plus 33. And then for the new one, it will be 275, 40, 18, and then 10.5 with the plus 22. And again, both of those will keep the overall diameter pretty close to stock, so you won't have to worry about the speedometer being off too far. And it's going to keep you around the same ride height. Alright, so right over here, you can see it's a little taller, or I mean it's a little lower in diameter, so you lose about a 1/4 of a millimeter. So again, nothing too bad, but you go just a tad bit faster than you would on the OEM size. But yeah, here's the little diagram right here. So pretty much the same thing. It pokes it out a lot more so that it does become flush, and then it goes a little bit in, but that's for the rear, so it's not really going to do too much. So yeah, this website just calculates all this stuff right here, and then it shows you a little representation again of what it's going to look like compared to the what you got now as far as on the Fitment. But yeah, so pretty much then what I'll do to show you guys the difference on the diameter, on that you have to keep the rear has to be taller, or the circumference, the diameter, or whatever you want to call it, has to be larger than the front, so that nothing happens with the traction control. So we'll go with the stock stuff again for the front, and then we'll go with the stock for the rears, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So .245, that's a 45, and then 8, and then 33. Calculate. All right, so as you can see right here, down here, again, I'm putting both of them so you can see them matched up next to each other, the specs. So yeah, it's the 225, 45, 18, 245, 45, 18, and both the 19s and the 18s, the fronts and the rears, they all have different widths. So technically it's a two-stage, I guess, wheel tire fitment. So it's not the wheel widths are the same, but the tire widths are different. I guess it's a two-stage staggered. But anyways, so here's what you need to look at right here. So the front with the stock fitment, or the stock size tires, it's 659. We'll just call it 660 millimeters, and then the rear is, we'll call it 678 millimeters. The diameter, the overall diameter on the rear has to be more than the overall diameter on the front, and that's stock size or aftermarket. But if you go with a squared setup, either, same with wheel and same with tire, or different diameter or a different wheel with wheels, or and same tire width, the main thing is that you have to keep, again, the rear has to be greater than the front, so that the traction control doesn't freak out from the wheel speed sensors, seeing that the front and the rear tires are going the same individual RPMs, because they're calibrated to go to read the tires at this diameter and that diameter. So all you got to do is just, you see a tire that you might want to go with, a tire size. Again, you just, for the front, you got to do them separately. So you put in what you think you want to get, and then you see if it's going to fit with the wheel, and you think it's going to fit with the car, on the car. And then you figure out the rear size also, and then you input both of those different sizes, one here and one there, so that you can verify that what you're trying to get on the rear has a greater diameter than the front. And then you shouldn't be running into any issues with the traction control. So hopefully this helps you understand what to do and what not to do when looking at getting aftermarket wheels and tires for your Genesis coupe.